want to fend for myself, and I want to build people up for them to fend for themselves. Hey, everybody. We are back with another episode of the Free Like Me podcast. I invite guests to come on and speak their truth and hopefully leave their shame and pain behind and walk out of the studio free like me. My book, Scarred, will be released July 29th. It's up for sale on any place you can buy books, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, etc. There was two books when I was locked up that really changed my life. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And they ignited something in me to want to change, to want to grow, to want to heal. And that's what I think my book will do for so many people. It will inspire you. You'll see how low I sunk in life. You'll see how I rose out of the depths of hell and despair. And it will give you tools for growth and inspiration in your own life. And hopefully people who are losing hope rapidly, it'll instill hope back in you. So what greater honor for writing a book than to do that for someone? So get over and pre-order your book now. And if you want to be a guest on the show or get involved in my coaching program, reach out to me on my website, freelike-me.com, or on any social media site. You can send me a private message and we'll set up a consultation call. This week, man, I am so pumped for this. Oh, an amazing woman over in the Middle East, Samar. She came across my video on Soft White Underbelly, and she couldn't believe that a white male in the United States could sum up her pain as perfectly as I did. And she reached out to me, and I invited her on the podcast, and she agreed. And she's going to share her story that has held her back her whole life. She wants to be free, and she's coming on the show all the way from the Middle East to do that. So let's meet Samar. Samar, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell the audience how we even became connected? You know, how you stumbled across me and what it meant to you and how we ended up at this point.
Sure. I was watching Soft White Underbelly. I was listening to that podcast while I was driving to work, and your episode came up, and of course you are telling your story, and it really caught my attention when you were talking about being a victim of abuse. What really hit me is the feelings that you carried throughout your life, which was exactly the same feelings I carried throughout my life. And I thought, in my head, I thought, like, these are the words I wanted to say. It's like, these are the feelings I wanted to put into words, but I couldn't, because it's not in my culture to speak about this, especially as a woman. And it was so amazing to me that for you, as a man who lives the other side of the world, felt exactly the same feelings. I didn't know you have a podcast. I didn't know you're famous. I just texted you like, my twin, you are my twin. And here we are.
You were on YouTube because you taught yourself English by music videos, movies, and watching videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah, listening to a lot of advertisement and music, and especially music. And then here I am speaking English by listening to music and watching television.
That's amazing, because your English is beautiful. It's perfect.
Thank you. I hope it doesn't fail me today.
I mean, you might get hung up on a word here and there, but overall, you speak great English.
I hope so. Let's see.
I was looking up from, where you are in the Middle East to where I'm at, and comparing just, items, between our countries. And I did it on Chat GPT. It says fuel and rent are significantly cheaper in your country from here.
Yeah.
Cars are a little cheaper. You have fewer taxes and import duties. And grocery items are somewhat the same,
Yeah.
plus or minus on certain items. They had like rent over in your country is like $500 a month compared to at least $1,500 a month here. Does that sound right?
Yes. Yes.
Gas is significantly cheaper over there.
We're selling it to you
Yeah.
guys.
You're in one of the wealthier countries over there.
Yes.
And how is life in general?
Life is good. It's yeah, life in terms of quality of life is fantastic. Like there's no there's zero poverty in my country. There's no poverty in this country. There is You'll never find homelessness or people that are sleeping hungry. That's something that doesn't exist here. The crime rate is incredibly low. Maybe you can Google that as well. It's very, very safe. And here we are. Things happen to people, even in a wealthy, rich, safe country like this. But yeah, quality of life is really, really good. Women are treated in general well. So if you ask me if I would move out from here if I get a chance, no, I'd rather stay here because I have a very good life, very good job, and my kids are going to a good school.
Just touched on how women are treated in your country. You're treated better than some of the other Arab countries. You're allowed to work, right?
Of course, most of the Arab countries, women are allowed to work. Yeah, most of the Arab countries, but it's the rights that women get. Um, it's just different from one country to another, give and take. However, I can say women in my country gets all her rights in terms of education, work, pension. Um, a woman that's divorced and a widow can get help from the government. She gets to ask for the if she doesn't work or she didn't get a job, the government will pay her food, her rent until she gets a job because she's a single mom. So single mothers are well taken care of. My mother, she was a single mother, and the government ended up building her a house. So she got a free house. So that's it doesn't happen that much now, the economy situation. But at my mom's time in the 80s, she was a single mom raising us alone, and she's not educated, so her job wasn't she wasn't making enough, so she requested for that, and the government built her a house. So that was our first house. It was a small one, but come on, a free house just because you are from here.
Can women vote and can they run for office?
Not the presidency. Like we can women cannot rule the country because it's I don't want to say too much, but it's more like a kingdom. So it depends on the royal family. However, we have women that are ministers. Yeah, I don't want to say which ministry, but we have like two women ministers, and yeah, women can go to high levels in terms of work, let's say.
So then you have the right to vote also?
We don't vote as since it's a kingdom, we don't vote. But in terms of choosing ministers or uh, women and men can run for that position, can apply for that position, both.
So you get educated, you can go to college.
That's one thing. Also, people are very fortunate here. Schools are for free, college free. People can go to college for free. And healthcare is free. So education and health is free. So that's good.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
When you and I spoke the other day, I thought this was all American stuff, but the same thing applies over there. Like life insurance policies, pensions, unemployment benefits, all those same things, apply over there as well.
We're under the same economic system. We have banks. We're driving cars, which needs to be insured. We take housing loan, which also need to be insured. The property as well as the life of the person who took the loan. So it's the same system. If you depending on debt and banks and insurance companies and you know you will need to have insurance companies as well.
Is there American companies over there? Like, do you have McDonald's and Burger King and all that?
We have, but after what's happening in Gaza, we have this strong boycott system now. So a lot of McDonald's branches are getting shut down, and Starbucks as well. They're the one that are getting one after another is closing down. But we very much was depending in American products, clothing, food, everything.
Really?
I don't want to say a lot. We don't look like, in terms of the country, it doesn't look like a Western country. It's very, very much Middle Eastern country. In terms of the pitch, if you see the pictures of my country, is very much different from anything you know. But the system is very westernized now. The system, not the culture, not the traditions, not the religion, but the financial system, let's say.
You've made mention to me that there's three important pieces of your life that stand out, starting in your childhood, then your late teens, and then your 30s. So why don't we go back to your early childhood, and we'll go through your story, and we'll touch on the first story that stands out in your life, then the second, then the third.
The first is a challenge, is it obstacle or trauma? It was so at this time when I was 4, 5 years old, my father started being very absent. Apparently, he was preparing himself to leave us. Nobody knew. So he was very, very much absent. And my mother wanted desperately to enroll me into school, like the first grade. And they didn't take me because school starts at a month that I was born in the same month. So they say she's 1 month less. So we won't take her. She said she's going to lose a whole year because of that 1 month. So she started looking for schools that's going to take me. And then she found a school that is outside of where we live. It's in another region. Let's say it's 4 hours drive. So it's very far from my mom. And she took me to people that, not family by blood, but people she knew. And she asked them if they can take me in with their kids for 1 year till I finished my first grade. They accepted. And unfortunately that happened because the house was full of kids that are my age, and there are teenagers and young adults, and most of them were boys. I had only one girl that was my age, and yeah, that was the first trauma, the first thing that happened, the first thing that kept me watching over my shoulder my whole life, because there was a guy there who was, I think, 16, 17 years old. I was very young to tell, but I can see him that he's already a young man, and he was looking at me all the time, watching me all the time, but I didn't understand. Of course, I was a child, never went. So I was raised in a house with my mother only and my siblings, two sisters, two brothers at that time. Never never seen a woman and a man together. So I didn't know that men and women touch. Never knew that, because being brought up in a Muslim house, television was very limited. We didn't have a lot of channels or social media. Of course, in the early 90s, 1990, no television, and my dad wasn't around. Um, so I never seen that dynamic. I never knew. I never knew a kiss. I never knew that people kiss. I never knew that. Never saw it before. I'm 5, right? And also, I didn't know that men and women bodies are different. I didn't know. I've never seen a man. So I have my brothers, but I never look at them. I never. Also, in the Muslim world, we very much separate girls and boys. We play together, but we don't like sleep in the same room, or you know. So, uh, so this guy, this so when we were living in that house, they had a farm that is, let's say, 30 minutes walk from the house. So we have, as kids, to walk to that huge farm and water the plants. So they'll give each child a part that they have to take care of the plants or water the plants. So at that day, this guy took the gang of the kids. Let's go to water the plants. And every time we asked him to go, he delayed it. So now, as an adult, I knew that he wanted the sun to go down. He wanted some darkness. And he didn't take us from the same route that we go through every day, which is between the houses. He took us from another route, which is a new route. And it was more like desert tea, as I can recall from my memory. And I remember it was a very long, and now as an adult, I understand why, because he didn't want the people to see him with us, or he didn't want the people to know, or to see, or if the family asked, they don't know, or they didn't see us. So now as an adult, I understand why he did that move. So actually, he was determined, he knew, and he had a plan. So he took us through the desert, and it was a very long route until the sun literally went down and it started getting dark and there's no lights in that farm. So he said, "Oh my God," when we reached there, "Oh my God, it's already dark. We need to do this fast. We cannot walk together. We need to split into groups." So he split us, like every two have to go to a certain direction to water the plants. And he decided he's going to be with me and we're going to water the plants that are behind the hill. And I'm like, okay, I'm a kid. So we went there, and I noticed that there's no plants there. And I was like, what are we doing here? And he said, "Oh my God, there's a snake." And I started panicking. A snake? And he said, "Lay down, lay down." So I laid down. And immediately, in seconds, my panties were off, like he pulled them down, and he inserted himself in me immediately. Now, take into consideration, he came to me from my back, so I have absolutely no idea what's going inside me. I don't know. I've never seen it before. I'm screaming that it hurts, it hurts. I'm crying, and I'm scared, because I'm scared of the snake, or why is he on top of me? I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know. And but we have the guts that's telling us what's happening is wrong. I'm scared, I'm frozen, I don't move at all. I don't move. I'm just scared to death. I don't know what's happening, but I know it's wrong. And once he was done, I didn't see him. I didn't see his body parts. I didn't see anything, but I know that I'm hurt. And I don't know where he inserted himself. I didn't know that I have a place in my body that something can go inside. And to that point, I was ignorant. And since then, my brain didn't stop thinking about this. Didn't stop thinking. And the roller coaster started of emotions, feelings, care, fear, sadness, all the different modes that you were talking about in that episode, it's really started at this early age.
Anger.
At that point, I wasn't angry, but that is something that I'm suffering from till date. Anger management. I can't manage my anger when I'm angry. I break everything when I'm angry. Like you can't imagine. You can see me. I'm a happy person, but you can. I turn into a monster when I'm angry, which is bad, very very bad. Anger episodes, like when I get angry, it's just I have like I do things that I regret later when I'm angry. That is something I suffered from my whole life, my whole life. But at that point, I wasn't angry because I didn't understand. And I didn't know. I didn't know the name of the act that happened to me.
Did he threaten you afterwards? Did he say,
Never
don't
spoke about it. Never spoke
just
about
got
it
off
at all.
you and
And get
you
dressed
pulled your panties up and stood up and then
and
you
walk
guys just
behind
walked?
him because it was dark. And I didn't know better. So I was walking behind him. And he collected all the kids and went back home. After that, he was teasing me like, if you don't do this, I'm going to do that to you again. And that was much worse than that thing because I was scared all the time. So I was resisting sleep at night to protect myself. I was resisting sleeping so many nights to protect myself. Unfortunately, few months down the road, his father, the old man, called me into his room. And I went. And again, he told me, lay down next to him. And I laid down next to him. And immediately he started touching me. But now I know what's happening. I know that big men want this from me. I can understand that. So he touched me, and again I froze. Didn't say anything, didn't move. I'm 5 years old. And I remember him clearly asking me, do you feel nice? Is it good? And I said, yes. And I remember myself, it was me alone in this. To me, it was a trip to the moon. I'm in the moon. My parents are on Earth. I cannot cry. I cannot scream. They can't hear me. So I need to survive this. And that was my survival mechanism. Thank God, few seconds later, somebody walked in the room, and he immediately stopped it and never touched me again. I think he got scared that he might get exposed. So these two incidents happened to me at that house. And since then, I'm a whole different person. I'm all the time scared of men. I'm watching over my shoulder. And then when I started my teenage, the anger episode started. I started being very, very angry and rebellious.
You told me that anger and rebelliousness came on sort of because you felt like you'll never get married, you'll never have a husband because you're supposed to be a virgin in your country when you get married, right?
Women are supposed to be untouched until the day of marriage. In my country, she should be a virgin. She should have no knowledge of sex at all. She should be taught that in her husband's house. So, as an abuse victim, carrying all the shame, whether you are in the Muslim world or not, you have shame, you have anger, you have that you feel you are worthless. Put on top of that, that every day they tell you a woman that's not virgin, she's worthless. So I am already knowing that I am that. It's like no question about it. I'm so dirty. I'm worthless. I've been touched. I've been in my head. I was like considering myself a thing that's used already and cannot be used again. What helped? What I wasn't angry from that time when I was 5 or 6 until I was 11, 12, because my brain suppressed this. I don't know, suppressed it or shut it down, so I couldn't remember what happened to me. I did not remember it. It did not come in my. I didn't have it as a nightmare. I did not remember what happened to me because when I went back home, I was happy to see my mother and my family again. Absolutely forgot that. It came back to me when we start learning about women's body and men's body and what they do to, we start learning this in science, and once they start talking about virginity and woman's body and like like every other kid in this age, at that time it hit me with every detail, the smell, the details, the pictures, the trip to the farm, the scenario, the snake, everything came back together at one time. And it was overwhelming. I remember when I remembered it, I couldn't stop crying for weeks. For weeks, I was crying. Nobody knew why I was crying. And my mom thought like it's hormones. She's getting, she's a big girl now. This is a hormone issue. She never asked me what's wrong with me. I always cried myself to sleep every single night in my life. Every single night.
Yeah, I mean, you're summing up what's exactly so many of us have felt and had to deal with.
Exactly. And I thought I was the one and only.
Yeah, me too. I never shared it because I thought nobody else had experienced it and would know anything about what happened to me. So I kept it to myself.
And one of the things I think we feel like the other person, if I'm going to talk about it, will not understand. They will not feel what I'm feeling. They will not understand. And there's something that keeps us silent. Like I've never talked about this until I was 17 years old. No, before 17, maybe 16, 15, 16. That was the first time I ever told anybody about it.
Who did you tell?
So me being rebellious and having that idea that I'm done, I'm touched, so I'm gonna do whatever I want. So I was caught out with a boy in a parking lot. So my auntie, one of the closest people to me, caught me, and she started slapping me nonstop. Like, what are you doing? You want to brought shame into this family and this. And I told her, like, I have nothing to lose. It's over. And she said, what do you mean it's over and you have nothing to lose? And I was crying. I was crying because I'm about to say this. My heart was beating. It was like, I can't tell you. It was beating so fast to the point I felt like, how to say this? I felt dizzy. I feel like unbalanced because I'm about to say this. And I remember I told her like, I was raped. And she said, what? You liar. She continued slapping me. She said, you're a liar. You did something and now you want to throw it on somebody. I told her, no, I'm not lying. And who, and, and I mentioned his name. He's a very unique name. So I told her, this person did it. And he's a person that they know, all of them, my family. And when I said the name, she immediately froze. Like she didn't beat me anymore. She didn't, and she just stopped. I felt the shock in her face. She walked away, and I didn't know that she went and called the guy. She went and called the guy and told him, I want you in my house tomorrow. Very important thing. He showed up in her house the second day, and I was there. And I remember my whole life, whenever he showed up, my heart would beat fast. I'll not be able to breathe well. I feel like I'm gonna like faint, and I'll be very scared. And even if he asked me how are you, I struggle to say I'm fine. He was to me like a monster that's gonna crush me if I see him. My voice will crack. I will not be able even to say I'm fine. So he came again, but I hide in the room, and I heard his voice, and I didn't know that she asked him. She told him, Samar saying, you did this to her. Is that true? And I don't know what came into him, but he said, yes, I did that. just like that. And that can be different between your side of the word from mine. And I think I told you this: men here are like gods. It's a man's world. Men are very proud to be men. Nobody will accuse them of anything. They can do something wrong and walk away, and it's okay. Nobody will judge them because they are men. So I think that's why he was not scared to say, yes, I did that. I was kind of happy and relieved because now nobody's going to call me a liar anymore. So, yeah, that was the first time I ever told anybody about it. It was very hard to say the first time. The more and more I talked about this, it became more healing and easier.
You told me a story about a girl who had no legs and was left home alone by her family, and then married next door neighbor man came over to the house. Can you just run through that story real quick? And then, like, how she was portrayed and he was portrayed at the end.
Yeah, so this is a handicapped girl, a girl with special needs. She was born with no legs, and at that time in the 90s, sorry, in the 80s, uh, special needs people, like the schools were not equipped for them, so they didn't go to school. So they were left home alone. So her family will go to work and her siblings go to school. She was left home alone. The neighbor knew and noticed that she's there because no question, any kid with special conditions will be left home alone. So he decided to go, and unfortunately, she's weak, right? So he raped her, and she was a young lady at that time, a young lady, let's say 17, 18, 16 maybe. So he raped her and just left. I'm a guy, I can do whatever I want, right? So when the family came, they didn't care. I don't know if we mentioned in this podcast that this subject is not a subject that we speak about in my country at all. It's a subject that is very sensitive and not to speak about. But her family was very brave, and they say, we're not going to stay quiet. We don't care about culture, norms, traditions. We're going to do our maximum level to get the rights of our daughter. So they went and filed a police report, which is very, very rare for a case of abuse or rape to be reported. It's there in the law. There's punishment, but no one reports this. It's a very shameful to report about. So they didn't care. They went and report this. Next thing you know, the guy was in handcuffs in jail. Um, Unfortunately, the girl got pregnant, so they had to deal with that. In Islam, is a very big crime to do abortion, very very big crime. So we usually keep the child, no matter what. So we don't do this. It's a crime even in the laws. It's a crime, so we don't do it. So she'll have to have that baby. So they went back to the police with that results. So they made the man marry her and divorce her at the same time in order to produce papers for the unborn child, which they did. Eventually, the guy ended up being in jail for only 1 year for this crime. He ruined the life of this girl who's already have a challenge of being with no legs and no education, and now no marriage, no life, no love. He ruined her life, and he got only to be in jail for 1 year. He went back to his family and his kids, and everyone in my community consider him a victim. She ruined his life, and for a whole year his kids didn't see him. And how come a woman have the guts to talk about this and to say this about herself, that she's been touched? Because we should be pure. But I didn't want this to happen to me. It did happen to me. But even if it happens to you, you should stay quiet. and not tell anybody about it. Now, who's going to marry you when they know this about you? And that woman never got married. She raised, she was a single mother of this beautiful daughter who, as I told you, recently got married. But she never got married, never had a life with a man because she was a victim of rape.
And you said the shame even applied to the daughter.
To the daughter, to the family, to the whole family, everybody's talking about them in a very bad, that family, they have no shame, they have no this, they're very bold, what are they thinking, they ruined the life of the man. It's just they always speak about the man as a victim, and they speak as this family, the family with no shame. They have no shame. And it's something that's made me very, very angry. And that's why I cannot speak about this in my community. I told you, whenever I even tried to tell somebody that I was abused as a child, they just say, thank God you're okay now, let's change the subject.
They don't want to talk about it.
Not at all.
In our very first conversation, I told you how you don't even know, like the circle around you, there could be, you thought you were, all alone with this, in this shame and this pain, and it's just you. And I said, I guarantee you there's people in your circle who have gone through the same thing.
You did. You did.
And and when we spoke yesterday, you're like, Clark, I've got to tell you something. You were right. And I'm like, what was that? And tell me what you said,
I was astonished because you brought that into my attention. I thought I was the one and only with this pain and this shame, and I was the only victim. There's something wrong with me, and you told me no. You could be walking with a whole tribe that went through this, and that resonated with me. That stayed with me, and I start to open up more to people around me, family members, friends, and they'll just say, "Yeah, it happened to me too. Yeah, it happened to me too," and since that time until today, I found out that 3 of the very close family members went through this. 3. So that makes 4 of us, and that was because of you, because of that comment.
Take me into age 17, I believe, where you had to be deported back to your father's country and back to him.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I think we touched about my dad leaving us when we were young. So I was raised by a single mother. My dad just left us with no goodbyes, nothing, no notification. He didn't even divorce my mom. He just left. He just disappeared. And when I was 17, I had to be deported because of some visa issues and stuff like this. My mom managed to get the address where my dad is, and she had no choice but to inform my father and my father's family that Summer's going to be there in no time, and if you guys going to take her in, that would be okay, that would be good. So here I am, 17 years old, with all this complications in my brain, with all this trauma, with all this. It affected me very much, being raised with no dad, with no man figure. So I've always felt like I'm not protected. So here I am going to see the men that I haven't met since I was a young girl. I'm at the airport. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. We were crossing. We were walking next to each other, but I didn't know him and he didn't know me because obviously I've changed since I was 5 or 6, and now I'm 17. He's very old now, so I didn't recognize him until he spoke to somebody, and I just knew him by his voice. Very, very unique voice. So when I looked at him, stared at him, he knew that was me. So um, that was another big event where I moved to my dad's house. And very first night, didn't sleep, sleepless, because I'm in a whole new country. Very, very different country from the country where I came from. It's another Middle Eastern country that's a poor country, a crazy country. very, very high number of people, big population, very different from where I am from, right? So I didn't sleep because I don't know the man that I'm with now. He's my dad, but he's a stranger to me. So first, 6 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't sleeping, but pretending to be sleeping. I saw him sneaking into my room, sleep next to me, start touching me in a very weird way. Now, you can't do that, my friend. I've been there twice. I know this very well. I know it from your body language, from the way you move, from the way you look at me. I can catch it in no time. So immediately I stand up, and I told him I'm not asleep. And he said, "Come, let's just lay down." I told him, "Nope, I don't want to lay down." I went and washed my face and sit in the living room where his wife came and prepared breakfast. 2 days after that, it kept happening. I kept doing the same reaction, walking out the room. And then I brought it up in front of his wife, like, "What's wrong with you coming, sneaking into my room and hugging me? I'm not a child. You know that, right?" And immediately the wife got furious. She was very angry, looking at him and just screaming at him. "She's your daughter, for God's sake. Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?" And then it hit me. Like, he's not looking at me like his daughter. He's looking at this young, beautiful girl that just walked into his life. So I sense it, I smell it in the air, and I know when it's about to happen now. So yeah, that was the first. That was the. I wouldn't say it. I was abused, but I knew it was going to happen. It was going to happen where I avoided immediately. Yeah.
Thank God you stood up instead of just lied there. Yeah.
I was scared, but yeah, I wouldn't allow, because again, I had that. He's my father. Like, I think if it was somebody else, I would go through the emotion roller coaster again. But because it was my dad, it was like, no way. So yeah, I didn't allow that to happen. By the way, I didn't tell you this. 2 years ago, I decided to take piano lessons, and I was with this piano teacher. He's a guy, and suddenly the room where we were practice got empty. So he started touching my hand and showing me how to work. And then he said, "You're very stiff." And he started touching my shoulders and saying, "I'm going to massage you a little bit." That is a big, something very weird where I'm from. Men do not touch women at all. We don't even shake hands. What are you doing? Giving me a massage on my shoulder? And here, where that little scared girl that got frozen was very alive in me, and I again got frozen, that I didn't move while the stranger is touching my shoulders, and that was very bad. And here, where I realized that I'm not 100% healed from this experience. I'm still suffering from it, because I was very angry, but I was frozen and I didn't move while the stranger is touching my shoulders. But guess what? I never went to those classes again.
I can imagine not. Wow. No, you hadn't shared that with me. Wow. And that was just 2 years ago.
I'm not 100% over the abuse. I'm still suffering from it. I rejected when my father was touching me in a weird way, but I didn't tell the piano teacher to stop touching my shoulders, when I could have just stood up and say, "Thank you very much. I don't want you to massage me."
Right. And just to sum up the story with your father, he then came to you and said, "You're not welcome." After you spoke up at the breakfast table in front of his wife, he eventually said, "You're not welcome here anymore."
Out. Yeah, get out of my house. And yeah, and we me after that, my siblings came, my sister and my brother came there. They were deported as well, and we had to figure it out, how we're gonna live, how we're gonna go to college, what we're gonna do, because now we're no mom, no dad, no financial support, nothing. I had to drop out of college. I was at law school. I had to drop out of college and to start work in order to support my siblings financially, at least to help supporting them financially, because my mom was sending them money, but it wasn't enough. Uh, yeah. So I came back to my mom's country, and where I got married and worked to support my siblings.
So you eventually got married. Take me into how that uh, interaction happened.
Yeah, let's hope there's no tears and crying
It's okay.
in this, because this is a very soft spot to me. When I was there, I was very nostalgic. Like I was missing my country, my people, right? So I was a lot online trying to find people from my country, and I came across this dude. We started talking a lot.
Wait a second. Did you just use the term dude?
Is it correct?
Yes, it's correct. But how do you know all this just from music videos? That's amazing.
It's used in movies.
So you come across this dude.
This dude who was, oh my god, he gave himself a very funny nickname. So I was laughing at his nickname online, and I used the nickname as well for safety reasons. So so we start chatting, we exchange emails, and we kept chatting for a whole year. And I came back home because of the situation that we had there. I had to support my sib. I had to work things out, right? So I'm back home. The guy called me and told me we need to meet. And this is a very big thing. We don't meet, we don't date. And I said, what if he's a serial killer? What if he's a criminal? What if I've never seen even his face? We just chat. In the email, we exchange emails. At that time, we didn't have like social media. We had Yahoo and Hotmail. So we were just chatting through the email. So he was like begging me to see me, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that mistake. I'm not going to be killed somewhere. No, I'm not meeting you. So he told me, if you just explain where's your house, I'm going to come. So I explained, but of course he cannot walk into my house. My brother's going to kill him. So he came with, and also he was scared as well, so he came with his sister. So they came, and he pushed his sister inside my house. He cannot come as a guy. And his sister came, introduced herself. We sit, we chat, and she said, my brother's in the car and he wanted to see you. Again, I was scared. I said, no, I'm not going to see him. So when she wanted to leave, my mom said, no, no, it's lunchtime. You're not going to leave. Have lunch first. Arab style, you need to eat before leaving. So, and people here are very proud of their cooking. So, no, you need to eat. She said, but my brother is outside and it's very hot. My mother told him, your brother need to come in and have lunch with us. Let him come in. So he came in, and that was the first time I see this guy that I've been chatting to for a whole year. And it was the first time for him to see me as well. And right after that first look, he immediately said, I'm going to marry you. Of course, I said, no, you're not going to marry me. And he insisted, and I told him, you know why you're not going to marry me? Because I'm not what you think I am. And I mean being a virgin and a virgin. And he said, what are you? And of course, lots of tears, and I shared my story with him. And I said, after this, I don't think you're going to proceed with your proposal. He cried with me actually, and he said, now I want to marry you more. I like you more now. And 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 he ended up being my husband for 10 years, uh, where he passed away 7 years ago.
Where did you get the strength to tell him at your very first meeting with him about your rape?
It's who I am as a person. I didn't want to, I liked him very much. I loved him. He loved me back. I felt he doesn't deserve, in my head. See, I told you, tears are gonna come. I felt he didn't deserve a woman like me. He didn't deserve a woman that was touched, and he deserved a virgin girl like other men. And I thought that was his right to know. And there where I decided to tell him, because I loved him very much and I wanted the best for him, even if that best is going to be with somebody else. And he he was as amazing as I saw him, and telling me, I love you even more and I'm going to marry you.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's incredible. And he was a class act guy, stand up guy, as we call him. So you get married. You're having a wonderful marriage. What happened to him?
It was a very normal day. The guy was very strong, athletic. You say athletic? Is that the
Yeah.
word? Yeah,
Hmm.
who like into sports a lot. He practiced every single day in his life. Never even got flu when we were together. Always very strong. Normal day. We left for work, and I got that towards the evening. I got the worst call in my life from his brother telling me I got a call from my brother, and my brother didn't want to give it to me, and he told me your husband is sick. You need to leave. So I was doing my bachelor's degrees at this time. At this point in my life, I was pursuing my higher education. So my brother told me, "Get out of the college right now. Your husband is sick." And my husband is sick? No way. So I didn't went because I know how strong is my husband. And I got another call from his brother, and I was like, "This is weird. Why the family is calling me?" And I was like, "Hello," and I could hear him crying. I said, "What's up?" And he immediately said it to me, boldly, bluntly, just, "Your husband passed away." I remember walking out of the college, and I saw my sister waiting for me outside. Now this is serious. My family doesn't come to my workplace or my college. Family members doesn't call me when they know I'm doing something. So when I saw my sister, I break down and cry because I knew it is happening. She picked me up to his family's house, which is like 10 minutes drive, very close to my college.
And what was it? A heart attack?
A heart attack. He was at the gym, but he didn't work out. When I heard the voice notes from his friend, he didn't actually start working out. And this is God here. So what happened is usually my husband leave work to the gym alone. He doesn't use any gadgets, any phones. He just focus on his working out, and then he come back home. We don't call because usually after work I go to college. So work for me is work and college. And then in the evening at the house. For him is work, gym, and then at the house we meet in the evening. This is our routine. So we don't call each other because we know where we are. We're busy. So at that particular day, and I heard this story from my husband's phone, from his friend. He discussed the working out with his coworker and told him, "I'm going to train you at the gym." They went together to the gym, and the coworker. So my something happened to my husband's phone, and he wanted to call his cousin. So he told his coworker, "I'm going to use your phone real quick." So he used the phone, handed it back to him, sit down, and got the heart attack, as if he took that guy to give him the phone number of his family and then passed away. The guy immediately called the last number and informed that my husband passed away. Usually he's alone. Usually he doesn't use phones when he's at the gym. But later, when they gave me his phone and I knew the password of the phone, so I saw the last audio that was sent into the work group, WhatsApp group. I saw that that guy was telling the whole office how my husband, who was their manager, passed away. So from that audio, I knew what happened to my husband.
So from a young age, 5 years old, with your first with the rape, to your own father trying to do the same, to the piano instructor trying to do the same. There's been a lot of trauma and in your life that you've had to deal with. And what have you made sense of all of this? What have you gathered? What life lessons have you taken from all of this?
I was always thinking about all this. Why I have to work in an early age to support? Why I have to go through the rape? Why I have to have financial problems? Why I have to be raised by a single mother? Why I had to be scared my whole life. My whole life I was scared, Clark. To be honest, I'm scared. I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm taking care of myself. I'm looking into men's eyes. The way they look at me, are they abusers? Or so I had absolutely no respect for men. I felt they were monsters. Inside my head, I didn't say that out loud, but this is how I felt. So when I was 30, I was done. I was tired, and I told you the story. I was praying, doing my normal prayers, and at that day, I decided God is not my friend anymore. You're not my friend. What you've been doing to me? Why it's been so hard for me? Why I have to suffer? Why I have to be angry? And I was just unpolite with my creator. I was not talking the way a good Muslim is supposed to talk. And I told him, listen, you're going to answer my prayer. I want to know why. And I want you to tell me when you're going to answer me. I want you to tell me, Samar, this is your answer and this is why. So I put that condition. That happened when I was 30. And when I was 32, when I got the call of my husband passed away, I went into his family's house and they point at this black bag and told me, Summer, your husband is in this bag. Open the bag, look at him. We need to bury him. We need to wash the body and bury it as soon as possible, the way we do it in this side of the world. We just bury as fast as we can. And I was just staring at the bag in denial, like I'm just staring. I didn't have the strength to open the bag. And the first thing, call it what you call it. Was it a voice? Was it an idea? Was it immediately? I absolutely forgot about my prayer, and it hit me 2 years later when I was staring at the body of my husband. This is why, Summer. This is why I was preparing you for this. And my prayer was answered there because I put a condition. I want you to tell me when you're going to answer me. And I was looking, and this voice came into my head. I was preparing you for this.
Wow.
And I remember having this conversation in my head. I'm well prepared. I can do this. I've been through worse. I can do this. And and that's what kept me grounded. That what kept me pushing, raising 3 kids by myself. And and today I'll tell you, I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful. I'm blessed. I have everything I asked God for. Every prayer I asked Him for, even the simple things. I wished to drive a certain car, and I'm driving that car today. Everything that I wished for, that was just a wish, God compensated me and gave it to me today. So that's why I'm grateful and I'm not angry anymore.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I don't know if it's allowed in the Muslim
Tell
custom,
me.
but I would love to give you a hug. Well,
Yeah.
I'm probably not allowed to, but I'm going to give you a virtual hug. So.
Yeah.
Oh man, you talk about when you're talking to God, not like you're supposed to, according to the religion. And when I was locked up, when I was in jail, I wish I could get back to that raw prayer I would do with God, where I would talk similar to how you were talking, because we get, our regular prayers, we take on like a preachy religious, line with them. And when I was locked up, it was raw, it was unfiltered, and I laid it on the line, and here I am today. Same sort of thing.
We have a very strong verse in the Quran, in the Holy Book, that says, it was talking about the Prophet Muhammad when he one day he was very confused and he didn't know what to pray, how to pray, and how to ask God for a certain thing, and he was just looking up, and this verse in the Quran came to him. God is saying, I see how confused you are. I understand you, and I understand exactly what you want. So even if you can't be angry and say it into words, just look up, and he understands you. Just believe that he's gonna. It's the power of prayer. Everybody can just look up and pray, and it's gonna happen. You need to have that faith. It's gonna happen. You'll see it happen. It happened to me.
Amazing. So here you lose the love of your life, and all that prior heartache and trauma and pain was strengthening you like a sword, so that when that day came, you didn't crumble apart and break down and just lose it. You were able to take care of your kids, to finish your education, to get a great job, to go alone with the rest of your life to take care of your children.
Yeah, no, nobody expected me to go back to college and get my bachelor's degrees after what happened to my husband. I did it, and I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I went through those exams and presentations, and imagine I was doing this while I was working. So I'm working during the day, doing my college degree in the evening, raising kids. I don't know how I was a super human at that time to be able to do all that, but here I am. I did it. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you. And I'm proud of you for sharing your story and breaking your silence.
You have absolutely no idea what this means to me. I think this is God's plan. Even the moment that I fell in love with those American songs, it was God's plan to prepare me to be able to speak when I'm because I didn't go and learn English because I'm going to speak to. You made that joke yesterday. You told me because you're going to speak to Clark. But God knew that I'll meet you one day, and I was also prepared for this interview in ways that I didn't know that I was prepared for.
And you spoke beautifully. You summed up your feelings like you said. I summed up mine. I could feel your feelings as you were describing them as a little girl. Um, and I get it. I totally get it. I've lived it. I've experienced it, and I understand fully how you felt. And I'm just, I'm just so proud of you for coming on the show and sharing your journey with us.
I'm the one who's very thankful and grateful for you to have me and to give me this platform to speak. And yeah.
And it's a shame you asked me. Um, you're a beautiful woman, and you asked me though that we had to keep your identity covered. So when this airs, your face is going to be pixelated, unfortunately, but I'm not, I fully understand, with the customs.
It's okay if people not on the show, off the show, if people ask you about my accounts, you have them, you can give it to them. I don't mind, as long as it's not shared on air. It's okay.
Thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm proud of you for your journey in life.
Thank you. Thank you.
And there you have it, everybody. Wow, what a journey Samar has been on. A lot of pain, a lot of trauma in her life, but it was preparing her and strengthening her for the passing of her beloved husband. And she would have to be able to take care of her kids on her own. And she's doing just that. She's forging out a great life. An amazing journey by an amazing woman. And I was honored to have her on. So thank you all. We'll see you next week.